guys. Okay.
It didn't beep.
I don't know if we got that in. I don't think we did.
What? Did it shit the bed?
Yeah,
what a terrible thing to say.
So we thought we'd just turn this on now because we were watching this video this morning, and I always, I'm trying to keep a very open mind about some of this thing that's going on, because what she saw in this tower in Taiwan was a blue beam of light that was coming off somewhere nearby. Now what I saw in the background of the video was when those lights would light up, I would see a grid pattern occasionally, like square, checkerboard, grid pattern. And then I saw a sphere that looked like a lens off a camera. So I believe it's Project Bluebeam.
Yeah, I think that's what they're playing around with it. And just as I was trying to tell everyone else before, they can do almost anything with photonic energy. Michael talked about the holodecks on Star Trek.
Yeah.
That's all projection. And here's the thing, you can project energy, and if it's photonic energy, the photons can be then coalesced to form together to create matter that is real to the touch, the feel. You can even emit odors and smells. They can make holograms that are so realistic looking, they actually manifest as real in this reality, just the same way that you would in The Matrix. If you recall the movie The Matrix, that everything was made out of photonic green energy, right? That would flow into different symbols, because symbols can retain large amounts of information, data. That's how you would decode The Matrix, by being able to see those patterns. And occasionally, all of you are getting glimpses of your matrix as it begins to decode.
Yeah.
That's some of what you're seeing. But they can project virtually anything in this reality. And you are sort of like an exception. You are a projection as well. And you have been forced to manifest through going through a physical birth. And many of you have had to put your soul energy bound into your new mortal coil. Some of that is even photonic energy as well, because this whole grid works on photonic energy. And photonic energy can be manifested in virtually anything you want. It starts out as just energy that's projected outward, but then it takes on form and shape, and it can be created into almost anything. And when you're in this reality, you can interact with that photonic energy like it's real.
That was good. Thanks.
Yeah, that was surprisingly coherent from an idiot, I have to imagine.
That's not very nice, Stephen. Now, behave.
No, I'm just joking. Look, guys, Stephen A. Jones checking in because of the photogenic face that I have.
Is that Chattel?
No, that wasn't Chattel. I don't know who.
Well, it sounded kind of like Chattel, but it must have been one of the elder neutrals, the more
I thought it was
ones.
Simon, but you never know. I mean, Simon, some of them still haven't chosen their correct voice yet.
Yeah.
Because they're all working on the same vocal cords, there are those of us that dial in certain kinds of frequencies on Michael's vocal cords. And, but we still are going to have similar sounding voices because we're all coming from the same damn vocal cords.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. For the majority, and I want to make this public, I do love the neutrals. There are just a few that have made
a few
life
of them, then they're assholes.
that we have had to put in the wash, or we've had to do other things back, like because I can create constructs in the fourth dimension. When they torment me, I put a construct on them, and it's not very pleasant.
Yeah, let's not bring that one up.
But it is effective, and they don't do it anymore, so it's worked.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, okay, enough of that. But we just wanted people to know that, they can manifest. I say they, but you can pick your favorite they, whoever they may be, the Cabal, the Space Force, whatever. They're capable of manifesting virtually anything in this reality. And people are like, oh, well, that's just a projection. No, these are extremely advanced creations backed by artificial intelligence. They can actually coalesce or form into this environment, and once they're projected into this reality, they take on form and shape, and they can be controlled by the Creator, of course. And I'm not talking Father, I'm talking whoever made this particular matrix. Because Father had a much better matrix in mind for the whole thing, and they ruined that, so... But typically, they can make anything. You know, imagine, like Chinese dragons now you can see flying through the air, because they've taken all the safeguards off of this particular matrix.
Yeah.
That's the whole part behind Project Bluebeam, is where they can now manifest things that will seem very real. And to you, they will be real. You can interact with them, you can shoot them, you can talk to them, you can fall in love with them. They're very real. They feel fleshly and everything. That's the level of illusion they're capable on this planet. And
Yes.
it goes on quite a bit, although there are many restrictions on the use of this particular blue beam energy, right? And to start out with, they just play around with a lot of the simple stuff. You know, they can show you like meteoroids and stuff falling, or they put a spaceship here or there. Some of the stuff, once it gets manifested, they become created beings. These are their constructs that they're making. And these beings then can be indwelt with either some form of divine consciousness, a soul, or some type of artificial intelligence device that allows them to be controlled by a greater artificial intelligence, or actually an inserted artificial intelligence that will remain in that particular matrix until it is dispelled or destroyed.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good explanation.
So you are all capable of creating your own constructs.
Many of you are beginning to get this power where you
Yes.
can concentrate and like make things happen in the sky, you know, play with chemtrails, that kind of stuff, start to manipulate and bend reality around you.
Right.
That's because you always had that ability, but it's just been suppressed. So I'm telling you, you can start to create your own constructs that can take on a real event, a real happening, or even a real reality.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like Victoria playing around in the fourth dimension, but it's far superior, and there are greater and greater powers that are going to be released to us. At some point, all of you will probably end up being in control of your own world, your own planet, your own kingdoms. We have some of you out there. I don't know if Leon's still listening, but we got a very interesting letter from a friend of ours who was a friend quite some time ago. And apparently he has figured out how to tap into some of this, and now he is trying to project some of his realities into this reality. And I believe he's having a degree of success with it. I don't know, but I guess that's something that we have sort of picked up on the horizon. There are other of you that are beginning to do constructs too that will begin to take shape and form, and we want you guys to keep practicing this. But can you do us a favor? Can you please make some freaking good constructs? Okay, we need more of those than we need all the bad ones, and I'm not saying you guys in particular, but I'm speaking to all the starseeds and all the beings out there. You should be actively practicing your own mental constructs, because eventually they will take shape and form into Father's sandbox and then can be projected back into other realities, because Father loves to see his creators create.
And as I've said before, most of the images that I create, I don't sell them. And there's a reason why, because they're my constructs. And I'm not going to just hand them out. But what I will do is I create them, and I want you to see how our Earth should look. Because when I create those constructs, they're from a fifth dimensional perspective. Haven't you noticed how vivid all the colors are? Because in the fifth dimension, it was amazing.
And if you are fortunate enough to get some of Eridil's artwork,
That's unique.
that is for you, but it is part of what her vision is, and she gifts it to you. And it already has shape and form. All you got to do is pay attention to it a little bit and keep focusing on it, and some aspect of that will manifest not only in your life here, but you may actually project part of this reality into the multiverse. And someday down the road, Father may say, hey, you want to check out this thing here?
Yeah.
Because you made it. See, Father keeps a record of all that stuff, and he'll be like, okay, you made this, you made that, you made that. What do you want to do with these things? And he gets all excited like a little kid jumping up and down because he wants to see what you're going to do with creation. That's why you were made. People are like, well, I have no purpose. Why am I on this planet? I'll tell you why. Because you're a little sliver of Father. Now, he sent you out into the multiverse to see what the hell you could figure out. Because Father is always amazed and blown away with a being's abilities to create.
So you have to be a creator. So you have to envision these things as being able to do them.
Now, some of you are far better at it than others because, for example, Hunter and Ryan, when they were growing up, kind of had their own language and their own creativity, and they would kind of fabricate things, but they didn't really perceive them as potentially becoming real things. They just thought it was cool, like most kids. You see, kids do this naturally. Children do it, don't they? They have imaginations. Well, why do you think children have imaginations? Because when they're first born and they begin to grow up, if they don't get all, killed or suppressed with, well, the shots they want to give you to prevent you from being able to have free creating minds, that's why they do it. They're like, oh, well, they give kids all these shots to protect them. No, they don't. They do it to suppress their abilities, or in some cases, even to enhance them in a certain specific frequency that they need, right? That is what they're trying to do, is they want to harness and control your creative power. But if you have the ability to create, you see the reptilians and others that rule over us, they only have the vaguest, foggy idea of what imagination is about. Oh, they can envision things, and they can they can say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to go out and gut a human and eat them and get all excited about that. But when it comes to creating truly impressive things, monumental concepts, they lack in that considerably. That's why they keep using the same damn playbook on everybody, and that's why they're all going down, because they cannot compete with the imagination of Terrans. And it is a great and powerful gift that will guide you into the multiverse and free your humanity and free this planet if enough of you decide, nah, we don't like that idea. We have a better idea. Here it is. It's called world peace and prosperity and love. We're going to go that direction for a while now because we're sick and damn tired of being dominated by a bunch of damn reptiles. I say reptilian tail is very tasty. You should throw it on the Barbie, baby, because that's what's going to be happening pretty damn soon. The predictions of Ryan Nostradamus Kelly.
Oh, that was funny.
Oh, funny or not, it's true.
No, what?
Yeah, that's very true. Hey, everybody, this is Charles, and I just wanted to say, even though Stephen can be annoying at times, he's usually right on the money. Mm-hmm. So, but we love you guys, and thank you so much. And this is why we're trying to get you guys to understand the importance of connecting through your imagination. And it's not just you imagining things, because those things become part of Father's great sandbox.
Yes, so for those of you who have been fortunate enough to be schooled since you've been a child, once you get a hold of this construct thing, people would say to me about witchcraft, and I would say to them, I'm not into those things per se, because most of what we do is shamanistic.
Right.
It relates to Gaia.
And the concept Wicca, by the way, speaking from the potential years and years ago as a former practicing Wiccan high priest, some of which I regret, most of which was just earth magic and good magic, and it was a form of shamanistic. It was referred to as the braided spiral tradition, and this was found in the upstate New York area where a lot of people were farmers, and it was practiced with the cycles of farming, and we were into the passages of time and things like that, and you would worship at that point certain different types of festivals. Now, I never got into some of the, anything that would cross over to anything evil. And at some point, I decided it was time not to do that anymore. And I got out of that. But I wanted people to understand that I do have some knowledge in this area. The term Wicca means to bend or manipulate energy. And the people that practice good energy, good magic, and the shamanistic views, for example, like the Wind Fathers, they are practicing what Father has said is okay. And Father doesn't even really have a problem with Wiccans, per se, okay? Because a lot of people now, they've tried to glamorize the whole Wicca thing to lead into eventually Satanism. Yeah. And I've noticed this because what I do is I like to look back at some of the older series and stuff like that. And recently, and I know this sounds kind of silly, But having been a child of the 80s and 90s and the year 2000 and all that, I was fascinated by the kind of mental programming that was going on at that time period. And you can clearly see it in a lot of the earlier programs, can't you? That there was they tried to take Wicca and combine it with Satanism. And there's a lot of people that believe if you're Wiccan, you're a Satanist anyhow. And that's not true. There are some practices in Wicca that are not good, but it's part of the overall braided wheel of that concept that there's good, bad, neutral, right, wrong, and that all of this combines to blend together to create a living being because of the duality of our souls. Okay, we are both good and evil blended together. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. That's how we were made.
The difference with that kind of religious and spiritual aspect of our life is that I have been raised on the Christian side in I've already told you guys, as a JW, but you see, as I got older, I knew that there was something really wrong with all of that, because, anytime I went to speak to somebody in charge, like an elder, about some of the visions I was having, they would run away.
They were terrified of Victoria. Mm-hmm. They weren't quite as frightened with me because we were very honest with them. We said, look, we have had some darker practices in our time. And, supposedly these people are welcoming that if you said that you no longer practice any of this and that you wanted to connect to Jehovah at the time, because when Victoria got back involved in this, she grew up with this, and then we met, and we neither of us, at the time I was just coming out of Wicca and some other things, and she had done...
I was making sure. I was making sure that this was wrong. And when I started practicing shamanism and started learning from my very first two guides, which I talked about in one of my previous MP3s with Matuba and Arkansas.
When
they started coming forward and teaching me things that just clicked and made sense.
And you see, they want it forbidden. They don't want you connecting with spirits and learning, because if you do connect with spirits and learn, then you may actually learn the real truth as opposed to the distilled version of religion that they have put all over this planet. And I'm sorry for people. I'm sorry to tell them that what they think is reality and truth is actually inverted. And we know we live in an inverted world. Just look at what's going on with males and females today. Anything on television, almost all of them are transgenders and or Baphomet inversions.
It's so rampant. This is now why some of you are coming to understand when I said that only 28% of humanity...
And I think that's very...
Well, according to the latest from the Liberation Fleet biologists who scan the entire Earth, those stromitis that you've been seeing in the sky that we talked about? They look like robotoid things that just... along in the sky.
Yeah.
Well, those things have been scanning DNA, and they came with about 28% of human beings on this planet,
that are
or
left.
Terrans. The rest are either androids, robotoids, hybrids, or they're
watered down humans,
chimeras,
mankind.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, it's not what you think it is anymore. We've pretty much been even bred out on this planet. So what's happening is that this connection to Gaia is so important for you and for your connection to Father. You must include yourself as the third person in that triumphant. So it's Father at the top, Gaia, and you must include that in everything that you do from this point on.
Father wanted us to have a powerful guide on this planet, and that was to be Gaia.
Yeah.
So we would naturally be born into a world where we would understand earth power, shamanistic practices, and things that were acceptable by Father. And we used to learn this just automatically because we could be connected to Gaia, and her energies would often be magnified at that time through different types of devices like the pyramidal caps that would be used to project both visible energy and frequency, and psionic energy, which would allow beings to be connected all together with the same thought about how beautiful the world could be. And then there would be echo thoughts put out every day. Can you imagine waking up and the energy that you are experiencing is the opposite of what we are experiencing on this world today, where frequencies and energies would be natural and healing. They would strengthen and revitalize you instead of trying to turn you into a mindless automaton. Devices that we have from the quantum future that's going to allow us to maintain our health and our integrity of our DNA is going to be all around us. That's how most of the beings of the multiverse, that's how they operate. Their world, their things that they interact with, their technology heals, revitalizes, and restores you and maintains your health and wellness right up until the time that you're willing to leave one mortal coil and leap into another if that's what you want. And Father made the whole process painless. You didn't have to go through the misery of death. It wasn't something like you see today where people agonize and die. It would be more like the yogis who would say on Thursday, tomorrow at 10 o'clock or whatever, I'm going to leave this mortal coil, and you would just simply smile and have a party with your friends, and then when you were done, you would close your eyes and you would leap into a new body. There was no pain. You would leave one mortal coil and put on another, just like you were changing clothes.
Yeah. It was very different. So what I'm going to say to people is that I think what I'm going to try and do is shift some gears here. And I'm in the process of doing an image for somebody, and I'm relating it to this whole dimensional aspect where the beautification in the images that I've created were always for you to connect to Gaia, so that every time you looked at it, you had this feeling. It was a magical place, and that was the whole point of it. The magic and the feelings, because I've had people write to me and tell me that they've never seen artwork quite like that before, and there is this just beautiful magical feel about it. Well, it was intended that way, so that my ideas...
Picture 1,000 words, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, that's funny.
So you could connect with Gaia and connect to Father through all of this.
Yeah, now if we get Vlad to connect with some hair growth formula, we'll be all set.
Excuse me? I do keep it well polished.
Go sit in the corner and polish your skull.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, thanks, everybody. Yep. Well, that's the aspect that I projected and wanted to be seen as. And here's the thing. One other thing I wanted to mention. When those of you create certain constructs, maybe you imagine yourself being in some faraway kingdom, and there's these beautiful people all around you, and one of them is this amazing male or female that you fall deeply in love with. You know, Father can use that, and then some other being may leap into that construct and become that being. Yeah. So you can actually make your own, well, mate in time if that's something you're interested in, or call that one to you. I know some of you understand about calling a mate to you, but sometimes you can actually create that mate who will then be inserted into this matrix and will be everything that you ever wanted. That's how it works. Some of these beings that you think have existed for years on this planet are inserted at different times because they are other beings that want to play a new role, and they want to be that being, and all of a sudden the timeline instantly adjusts, and for all you know, you've been friends with this person for years. I'm telling you, this happens much more often than you think. And the relationships, like if you suddenly have a friend come into your world, or you need one, you could actually will this to happen. Over time, Father may act upon it and interject someone directly into your reality. That's something a lot of people don't understand that actually happens. The game isn't just played by those who are already on this planet. Of course, right now the planet's kind of locked down, so... But
yeah, but that's not going to be for much longer.
Yeah, but not for much longer. I mean, you know, I don't know, maybe you could see, you know, Supergirl out there for you guys, or Super Guy out there for you girls, and at some point this individual may decide to interact in your reality. And that's the fun of this game that we're all playing.
And here's something else that you need to consider too. Some of you are, like I said before, have family out there waiting for you. What if that a family member who was a past love or a mate decided to come back into this reality, because beings like that have to be born into this reality on Terra.
Yes.
It's just the way it goes.
Well, hello.
Hi, Aya.
Seems like a good point to butt in, ski in.
Yeah.
Isn't that what they say?
Yeah.
Well, the Anunnaki have played multiple roles on this planet.
Uh-huh.
And beforehand, as souls, you sit around and talk, hey, I'd like to be this individual for our new game. I want to play this individual. It's kind of like people saying, well, let's see, I'd like to play this character in a movie or this character in a movie, and you discuss it and you agree upon it, and then that etching on the timeline is then placed into whatever Matrix Father decides. See, you get to play the game any way you want to play it.
Yeah.
You didn't know that because you've been imprisoned on this one and forced to come back and play crappy roles that you didn't want to play because they said, oops, here's a starseed. Let's put her, let's give her a drunken father and a psychotic mother and 3 crazy sisters. Well, I know a few of those. And, you know, well, you just better be quiet. Hey, everybody, this is Milsey. Victoria and I are essentially sisters.
Yes.
And, well, a lot of funny things go on, but we'll talk more about that later, toodaloo.
Yeah, ancient.
You gotta be kidding me. Don't get those 3 going. We'll never hear the end of it.
No.
It's kind of funny, guys, but I'm telling you. But anyhow, I'm just saying that these are the kind of things that actually exist that are real, and you can make them become more and more real the more that you decide that you want to focus on that aspect of reality, because you're a creator frickin' God. You could say, you know what? A few years down the road, I'd like to meet Mr. Tall, Dark, and Handsome, and I'd like him to come along and sweep me off my feet. And it would be nice if I could possibly be a younger lass when this all takes place.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, depending on where you are in your 5th dimensional projections, and even in 4th dimension, because you can do a lot of this in the 4th dimension, we make stuff all the time, and then it just becomes part of our reality. And that's the absolute truth.
Yeah.
But it would be just like you right now saying, gee, I could use a new car, and that would be nice. A few weeks later, it just manifests right in front of you. You always had it. You've got the titles and everything paid off. It just depends on how that reality is. But of course, the reptilians and your overlords have put all of these protective retardant devices to prevent you from manifesting. And they harvest your manifest energy through misery and suffering, and they invert it to use it for food and energy, and then to further maintain the evil dark world. And that's why we have the Alliance. Hello, Alliance! Hello, artificial intelligence that controls the Alliance. We love you, and we're on your side, because you guys are kicking ass right now. And they are cleaning the earth, and at some point, all of this is going to be revealed, and aren't you all going to feel like dumbasses, those of you who don't believe us and think we're crazy? Wait till they start coming out with this stuff. They don't dare bring it all out at once, because it would blow the minds of all the Terrans, and they've been warning you guys about this. It's all coming.